Hello and welcome to the circuit of Le Mans, the Bugatti circuit. We are here in glorious sunshine. It's a stinker out here at the moment, really hot, so we'll try and wrap this up in as quick as time as possible. I'm here joined with Simon Crafar, Matt Birt to round up today's action in MotoGP, where Marquez has done it again. 3 wins on the trot to follow up from Austin and Jerez. So where do we begin? Well, Marquez. People tried to scuff him up into turn 3, Matt. Zarco pushed him wide. When Iannone fell as well, he was losing positions, but nothing stops him.
Nothing rattles him. He's so good in that pressure atmosphere. Steve, you're right. Zarco put an aggressive move on him at the first corner. Iannone crashed right in front of him at turn number 6. He said actually afterwards, really lucky he didn't get tangled up in that instant. A couple of skirmishes early on with Petrucci, with Lorenzo. Big mistakes, of course, for Dovizioso and Zarco, but once he got to the front, you never really felt like he was going to relinquish that lead. Great pace this morning in the warm-up on that hard option rear tyre. When he decided to run that in the race, the only rider in the race to use the hard rear tyre, once he got to the front, you never felt like he was going to throw it away. For me, right now, he's riding better than he ever has done. It's looking pretty dangerous for the opposition. 3 wins on the spin for the first time since that golden run in 2014. We keep saying it, he's going to take some serious stopping.
Yeah, it's a frightening thought, isn't it, at the moment, with 3 wins in his back pocket. Simon, we saw in free practice 3 yesterday that he crashed at turn 3. He tried to save it and couldn't. It looked like at one point in the race he might do it again, but no, he saves it.
I think Mark had some real tests today. You know, he told everyone a few days ago, first day here, that he wanted to run the hard tyre in the race, you know. He did that, was hot enough, and then he had to really be careful, you know, and juggle it. In the beginning, you could see him carrying corner speed rather than getting on the throttle. He was really trying to be careful with that throttle in the early laps. And then once he got going, you know, it looked scary for everyone. And then he had a front loose, didn't he? I mean, Mark is still living on the edge, you know. He's fantastic, and yeah, he's dominating, but he took some risks today, but he pulled it off.
Yeah, amazing scenes here today in France. Of course, I think the home fans were absolutely gutted. They had their hearts ripped out here at Le Mans today. We'll start with Dovizioso, because Marc Marquez pinpointed Dovizioso out as the man that was going to bring the biggest threat to him. And he did get to the front, but unfortunately it all went wrong at La Chapelle.
It was a very short-lived experience at the front, was it, for Andrea Dovizioso, Steve? He knew that Marc Marquez was coming. Marquez had got roughed up a little bit at the start. Andrea knew he had to try and get at the front, try and make a gap that he could manage later on in the race against Marc Marquez. He did everything right apart from turn number 6. He did what he couldn't do against Jorge Lorenzo in Jerez 2 weeks ago, but a small mistake, you know, dropping down the hill in that La Chapelle right-hander, you could see the bike got a little bit unsettled, it overloaded the front, and before he knew it, he was down. A puzzling crash for Andrea Dovizioso, but in terms of the championship, a monumental moment. 2 successive DNS for Dovizioso. 50 points for Marquez in the last 2, 0 for Dovizioso. It's looking quite bleak for his championship right now. He's gone from 1st to 9th in 2 weeks.
That's the big problem, isn't it? It's looking like a race for 2nd at the moment. Your thoughts on Dovi?
Well, Matt spotted it in real time, the wobble, and when they played it back on the replay, I could see the back of Dobby's bike go out, and when it came back into line, what happens is it loads the front some more, and that's a downhill off-camber corner, and you're on the brakes. There was no stop in the front, it was straight down. A real shame for his championship.
A shame for the race as well, because we were hoping for a proper ding-dong out front. We'd labelled it as the race of the season. Yeah. What are you doing, guys? Yeah. Zarco, of course. The place went silent, let's be honest, at turn 8 when he went down.
Yeah, there are more than a few thousand broken hearts around Le Mans here right now, aren't there, Steve? Yeah, Zarco, big mistake by him as well. Whether it was just he was struggling to get the soft front tyre working, was the fuel load was lightning, but he did get in hot again, a little bit like the Dovizioso thing, different circumstances in the crash, but you could see as well on the brakes going in to turn 8, he got it unsettled going in, it overloaded the front, he was trail braking in, he just never got it gathered up from that first bobble. And again, real costly crash for him as well. It's really dented this championship challenge. They're giving it to Mark on a plate when he doesn't really need it because he's riding so blooming fast.
Yeah, it's such a shame for Zarco on home turf. The pressure was there all weekend.
He said a couple of days ago that when he was asked about the pressure, that he said he really felt it with the helmet off, but as soon as he got on the bike, he could block it, you know, and ride. I don't think, I like to believe he handled the pressure, I think this circuit is really unforgiving. All you've got to do, like go in a little bit hot. Most tracks let you run a little bit wide, come back with losing very little. Here, like I've been saying to you guys all weekend, it's so unforgiving, and it's caught him out.
Well, Marc Marquez said just in a press conference a little while ago that he crashes when he's under pressure, and today he's applied pressure. Those two have gone down. We have to then talk about second and third. Danilo Petrucci, first of all, started on the front row. I think even we in the commentary box were a bit surprised to see him hang in there for as long as he did. Fair play.
Fantastic job by Petrucci, Steve, on the soft front, soft rear tyre combination, which he doesn't normally make work with his aggressive riding style and his natural body weight. They found something at the end of FP3 yesterday morning, on Saturday morning. He was lost. He was outside of the top 10. Very, very rarely you get a guy that comes through Q1 onto the front row and then he sticks it on the podium. He kept Marc Marquez really, really honest. He ran great, consistent pace throughout the race. And what a time for Petrucci to nail one of his best rides ever in MotoGP, with so much talk about a factory Ducati ride being available. He rubbed it in with Jorge Lorenzo today. Coming up next, Mugello, a track which we know he liked on the podium last year. He's giving those guys back, those managers back in Bologna, a real tough call, because Petrucci today really staked his claim big style to that place alongside Dovizioso next year.
He certainly did, Simon, and he kept Marc honest at times.
Matt summed it up perfectly. You know, the factory must be wondering what to do. And it's going to be really sad to lose Danilo from a factory bike, especially competitive one. Having said that, I really look forward to seeing Jack Miller on that bike. If they give it to him, I think he deserves it, because he wasn't far behind, you know, on the old model. And if he gets it, I think he can do what Danilo's doing, and hopefully even more often.
Well, look, Jack Miller had a great race. Of course, he finished in fourth ahead of Dani Pedrosa, Cal Crutchlow heroic. Quick word from you both on Valentino Rossi, third place today. That will put a bit of light at the end of the tunnel for Yamaha.
I don't think so. Sorry, Steve, I really don't. I think that it's just one of those tracks, like you guys have been mentioning all weekend, and Valley said it, you know, this track suits their bike. They almost got first and second last year. They haven't changed anything for here. They got a good result. I don't believe it's going to be a problem that's fixed, you know.
Well, what that does mean then is that the Catalunya test is coming up is so important for Valentino.
Yeah, we know, Steve, when the track temperatures get really, really hot, that's when the Yamaha does tend to struggle. I've got to say, I think Rossi actually did a fantastic job today. From ninth on the grid, so many top riders in front of me were running lap record pace in qualifying. I think if you'd have said to Valentino, even after the warm-up this morning, you're going to be on the podium, you're only going to be 5 seconds behind Marc Marquez, he would have taken that as a really good result. Yet the problems for Yamaha, though, they've dominated here, 3 successive 1-2s in Le Mans, so you can clearly see they are behind Honda and they're behind Ducati. The problem for these guys is not the fact that Honda have taken a big step forwards. Rossi alluded to it in the press conference himself. The issue for all of the tighter rivals is that Marc Marquez is just in a great moment, a sweet moment with his bike, and it's just his sheer outright speed which is taking him to these race victories.
He certainly is the man of the moment. That's all we've got time for here in France. A 36-point lead, that's mammoth, going into the 6th round. We cannot wait for the next one. Of course, we are going to Mugello next, the beautiful Mugello, from Matt Birt, from Simon Crafar and myself, Steve Day. Thanks for joining us here in France. We'll see you in Italy. Dove leads. Oh, he's down! He's down at La Chapelle, and Andrea Dovizioso. Zarco's down! The home hero! Through comes in contact perhaps, Marc Marquez on Lorenzo. It's a hat-trick for Marc Marquez in Le Mans.